Hey everyone, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be doing a quick character analysis of the Love After Lockup couples for season 7. I think it's season 7. I watched Love After Lockup a few months ago, and I was asking whether or not the convicts are being exploited or the people on the outside being exploited. Who's exploiting who? Because the relationships seem to be imbalanced. And so I considered reviewing the show before, but I got sidetracked by other things, and I was like, I don't know if I want to review the show. But there's a whole new cast, apparently, and new couples. So anyway, I'm going to start from the beginning, though. I'm going to start with Chris and Gabby. So Chris and Gabby met while he was in jail, and Chris got some sort of settlement for police brutality, I believe. And he said he gave her $60,000 and the other half to his family. I don't know if that's true or not. But apparently, at some point, Chris and Gabby got into a domestic violence situation, and apparently Chris beat her up pretty badly. But that is after this most recent episode, which is the episode 4. So apparently, Gabby and Chris have been, they've been dating for a little while. And when Chris gets out of jail, she rushes to marry him. But she has a problem with his family. And when I saw his family and I saw him, and I saw where he came from, right? That neighborhood in the Bronx, they showed him coming out the building. I said, this guy, his whole family is extremely poor. This is generational poverty. So we have a dark-skinned black man who's poor in America with a criminal record, giving all this money to his preference, okay? And I asked myself, why would this lady be with him? Because she looks like somebody who could probably attract men with more money than this dude. And come to find out, her mother says that Gabby usually dates men with lots of money, rappers and basketball players and athletes and whatever. So I don't know how true that is, but I'm inclined to believe that Gabby has had better options than Chris. And I think that she stayed with Chris for as long as she did because of the settlement money, right? So anyway, in the beginning of the first episode that I watched, I think it was episode 2, season 7, his family, his sister and his mother were waiting for him, I guess, to come out of jail. And Gabby was supposed to be the chauffeur to drive them to pick him up. And they got in a big argument. And Gabby seems to be somebody whose emotions are all over the place. She seems to be a histrionic type. I'm not a therapist or psychologist, but she seems to have some sort of mood disorder where she can't regulate her emotions. She goes from one extreme to the next. That's what it seemed like to me. So anyway, she kept alluding to the fact that she had some sort of secret. At the same time, she was gaslighting Chris. And I felt like she was making excuses to create a wedge between her and Chris because she wasn't really fucking with him like that. And she probably didn't want him to find out what the secret was. So I don't know what the secret is. It could be that she's already married, or I don't know what it is. But it seems to be something serious. So all the while she's complaining about Chris's family, she's holding this secret. And then at some point they're driving to New Jersey together to where I guess her house is. And I think he paid for the house. Either it's an apartment or condo or a house in Jersey. And she's talking about all of the work that she got done with the money he gave her, right? She said she got some vaginal tightening procedure. And in his mind, because he's a dude from the hood, in a sense, right? I guess. He's like, why would you need that if you've been celibate for 5 years? Why would you need some sort of tightening surgery if you don't have any kids and you haven't been messing with anybody else but me for the 5 years that I've been locked up? She said that she's been celibate for 5 years and he has been in jail for 7 years. I don't believe that for a hot second. She reminds me of Ariana in a sense. Like, she reminds me of somebody who is impulsive and takes risks. For her to pick this man up from jail, okay, and then try to rush and be intimate with him in the bathroom stall, that was just tacky and impulsive to me. Yes, some people want to get it on, it's been a long time, I get that. But she doesn't seem to be the type of person that can restrain herself sexually for 5 years. I don't believe that whatsoever. I think she was screwing with other men when he was in jail. And so, Chris seems to be somebody he's naive or gullible, maybe because she's a preference or something like that, but he seems to be gullible, right? He seemed to be willfully oblivious to what was happening to him in this situation. So he was giving her all this money, and he was like, she spent it on surgeries and procedures and, trying to look good for other men, basically, while he was in jail. And that made him feel some kind of way, because if you see where this man came from, he has absolutely nothing. His family has nothing. So now he comes out of jail after a long time thinking maybe that he has some money put away, right, from his settlement. He has a wife and he can start over. And he finds out that he's getting played. I think in the last episode, she basically left him in the Bronx and didn't pick him up. And he had to go from the Bronx, right, to Manhattan to New Jersey. Okay, that's a long commute. And I'm familiar with where he lives. That is not the best neighborhood to live in. It is very extreme out there. Lots of poverty, lots of crime, lots of hopelessness. And this man came from that area and he went to go see her and she didn't even pick him up. Like, she's playing games with him. She's manipulating him. And she was making excuses, in my opinion, not to pick him up. So because of this secret she doesn't want him to know that she has a secret. So now what she did was she used the excuse of him talking to other women to not pick him up, to drive a wedge between them. So essentially what she was doing was gaslighting him. She was making it seem like the reason why she was mad at him was because of some other females, but it wasn't about the females. It was about the fact that she had a secret she did not want to tell him. And, you know, by starting an argument with him, he would stay home and she would have more time to come up with a plan to figure out how to get out of the situation, right? And so I think that at some point, Chris realized that he was being played. And I'm going to say this, I do not condone domestic violence, either psychological, emotional, physical, financial, mental, nothing. I do not condone domestic violence. However, if you are dealing with somebody who has nothing to lose because they are poor, they come from prison, they have no education, right? They have no other means of taking care of themselves besides the money that they gave you to hold for them because you're their wife. If you're playing with someone like that, who's at the end of their rope, you're going to get hurt. If you play with people who have nothing to lose, you're going to get hurt, especially men who are in desperate situations. This is why I always warn women about dealing with men who have nothing to lose, okay? This man, and I'm going to keep mentioning this, he's impoverished. He comes from generational poverty. He has a criminal record. And here he is giving you all this money and you're going to play with him? Do you know that people get killed for $100? Imagine somebody with nothing to lose giving a woman $15,000, $20,000, whatever, $30,000 from prison. I don't know how much money he had, but I don't think she stayed with him for 5 years for $4,000, like she said. Okay, imagine a man with nothing to lose giving you 15 racks, saying, "Hold that. So by the time I get out of jail, you know, we can start over. I have some seed money for whatever, start a little business, something like that, right? Hold that for me." He gets out of jail. Not only is the money gone because you spent it on your lips and your body, but he finds out you fucking around on him too and you playing games with him. He's going to snap. He's going to snap. Now, I'm not saying that he's justified in putting his hands on her, but you can't play with people like that. You cannot manipulate people, abuse people financially, and expect to get away with it, especially people who have nothing to lose. This man has nothing to lose, okay? So I'm not saying that he should have beat her down if he did beat her down. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that she was playing with fire, okay? She was taking unnecessary risk and playing with this man's money and his life. So when she told him that she got the vaginal rejuvenation procedure, he was looking some kind of way. He was like, why would you need that? That made him suspicious. So you're getting the surgery, right, for your situation. I'm in jail for 7 years. We're not doing anything like that. I sent you all this money. You acting funny style when I get out of jail. I can't even see you, right? You're always starting petty arguments to have an excuse not to see me. And then I found out that the money is gone and you played me the whole time. Do you know how many men and or women would stomp somebody out for that? He's not right in what he did, but guess what? She ain't either. If she played with that man who has nothing to lose, then this is what happens. You play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. Why was she messing with an ex-con with nothing anyway? Because he had some settlement money coming in, right? So I think she was already, trying to play him off the rip. And I think she took advantage of him. She took advantage of his insecurities, right? His poverty, his ignorance, his desperation. Took advantage of all that. And she played him. That's what it looks like to me. She was playing him the whole time. And when he found out, it was a wrap. That's what happens. Not to say that he should have hit her, but you can't do that to people. It's not fair. Okay? People get killed for a whole lot less. And this is why I asked the question again, who's being exploited? The person in the prison or the person outside of prison? Which brings me to Derek and Monique. Okay. So, Monique and Derek's scene went viral because Derek spent like $500 on an expensive dinner for him and Monique. And before the dinner though, Monique spent thousands of dollars in clothes and jewelry and phones for Derek. somebody who does not have a job, someone who's never done anything for her, but just give her company and attention to make her feel better about herself. This is why I always say that insecurity and low self-esteem is very expensive. And I mentioned this before when I talked about Ariane and Martell. Ariane's insecurity about who she is as a woman basically made her throw her life away from Martell, in a sense, right? It put her in a situation where she was willing to be the side piece for a married man for 5 years, okay? Yes, Martell was lying to her, but her low self-esteem kept her in that situation for years, okay? So the deal with Monique and Derek, she knew what it was. She knew what time it was. She was trying to buy his love from the beginning. She catfished him, right? She did the overhead shot thing, lighten up her complexion, didn't show all her facial features, whatever, had the wig on, and was like, she's morbidly obese. Okay, let's not play games. And the first time I saw them, I was like, okay, she knew what it was. She knew what time it was with him. And he was going to not punish her, but he was going to make her pay her way. WEIGH and WAY. She was going to have to pay her way, okay? Because, listen, she has low self-esteem. And so she was willing to invest in this man and spend all this money on a boyfriend to make her feel better about herself instead of actually working on herself, right? Instead of actually working on her diet and dealing with her depression and low self-esteem, right? And dealing with her other trauma she's dealing with. She's using this man's bite-sized body and his penis to medicate herself. A lot of people self-medicate with relationships or sex, okay? You saw how happy she was when they were in a room together. She was smiling and rubbing on his little body. I was like, what is happening right now? Why are we doing this? The thing I don't like about this show is that they get too explicit with the sex stuff. Please stop. Okay, we get the point. We don't need to see the whole thing being laid out in front of us. All right. So this bite-sized man and then this big Shirley woman are together, and then they show them, and I'm like, the disparity in the height and the weight is just too much for me. Now, I do respect the fact that he defended her to his family, but I don't think he takes her that seriously because he doesn't even respect her money. He doesn't respect her money, okay? If she's spending thousands of dollars on his pants and his shirt and some sneakers and a phone and, making him look iced out and dripped out, but she looks like that, come on now. She is trying to buy his love, and she's also using him to self-medicate. She's using his penis and his attention to feel better about herself. That's why when he went to dinner and, he ordered all that stuff, her attitude changed because she realized, oh, snap. She realized he don't respect her. She's a working woman. Why would you want to spend all this money on a dinner? He didn't even think twice about it, right? So he was like, make me happy. So all this money that she spent on you, took you to a nice dinner, you ain't got no job, you don't work, okay? You ain't spend no money on her, you just got out of jail, okay? You ain't got to pay for nothing, and you're still not happy? I think she realized at that point that he didn't respect her and he was taking advantage of her, and so her attitude got stank. She got depressed. So after he ordered all that food, her face just changed. It went from hee ha 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 giddy, you're the best thing ever, to the stank face because she realized that he was going to order the whole menu and not think twice about it because she has to pay her way. WAY and WEIGH. She got to pay her way. And so he knows what it is and she knows what it is. But they're not going to talk about the elephant in the room. No pun intended. They're not going to talk about that. That's too, I'm going to say it's too obvious. But she wants to believe in a fantasy. And this is why she got triggered when, his homeboy came up, Derek's homeboy came up and was talking to him about, life in general, right? Catching up on old times. She got triggered because she realizes that when he's not in jail, she doesn't have as much control over him. So she's buying him all this stuff so that he can be loyal to her. She bought him the phone so that she can keep track of him. And so, yeah, she's trying to control him and manipulate him too. That's why I asked, who's being exploited? The person outside the jail or the person in the jail? She wants him to need her. She wants him to act like he's still in jail even though he's not in jail anymore. So you only have eyes for me. You're only on, talk to me. You can only hang out with me. Your whole life revolves around me. And if it's not that, then I'm miserable. And so they went back to the hotel, I guess. And she's, crying, I think, in the car. Was she crying in the car? Anyway, she was upset. I think she wasn't just crying about him. I think she was crying because she realized that she was getting played. And she played herself, basically. And it's like she can't really complain about nothing because she needs him. She's already invested all this money in him. She wants things to work out, but she's realizing now that she's very insecure. And so her insecurities are being triggered by the fact that he wants to live life and she can't do that. She's more of a prisoner in her own body, in her own mind than he is. So when he was in prison, he was actually more free than she was. Now that he's out of prison, he's even more free. They're not even, so it's like when he was in prison, they were both in prison. But she was in a self-imposed prison because of her depression or her eating disorder or whatever issue she has. So they had that in common. It was easy for them to connect because they were both confined to a certain space, right? But now that he's out of jail, he's not on that type of time anymore. Their energies don't even match. He's like, let's get lit, let's have fun. And she's like sulking and sad and depressed and insecure because she's still in prison and he's not. So now she's going to be easily triggered by everything that he does that reminds her that he's no longer in jail. So having friends, talking to people, wanting to go out, wanting to hang out, wanting to have fun. She's still insecure about herself. So him being there is a glaring reminder of how poorly she feels about herself. So his very existence is triggering to her. His mentality triggers her because he wants to have fun and be free. And she's not on that type of time right now. She seems to be very depressed about either something happened, I don't know, some tragedy happened to her. But she seems to be very depressed, okay? And because of that, seeing him and wanting to have fun and she can't match his energy, now her separation anxiety is being triggered. Now she's afraid of him meeting somebody else because she can't have fun. She doesn't like the way she looks. He's broke and she's taking care of him. He doesn't respect her at all, okay? If you're going to spend that kind of money on the first date and this lady's already bought you all these outfits and then you want to go to the casino after that with her money, spent thousands of dollars on him for his outfit, spent hundreds for his dinner, and he's still saying, let's spend some money. He don't respect her at all, but she don't respect herself neither. That's what's so painful for her because she can't even admit it. Now she's stuck sulking in a bed crying alone because she's caught between a rock and a hard place. So if you want to be with this man, you got to show up and show out because that's how you're going to keep him. He's high energy. He's healthy. He's young. He's free. He wants to explore the world. Meanwhile, that's not you. Your energy is low vibrational, depressed, sad, lonely. And so now you're seeing that you're not compatible with him, or you're seeing that you can't keep up with him, or you're seeing that your money won't be enough to keep his interests. So what else can you do, right? He's not in jail anymore. You're spending all this money on him and he's still not happy. You spent all that money on him and he's still telling you that he needs you to make him happy. He's still asking for more. It's like he wants more of her to show up in a sense too. I'm not saying he's not using her, but he wanted more of her energy. He wanted more time with her. Let's spend some more time together. I mean, I want to go to sleep, whatever. But he wanted more of her. She doesn't have any more to give. All she had was the money. That's it. So when he asked her for more, she got triggered because she has nothing left. Not just financially, she has the money, but energetically, she don't have enough to give him. And now she's even more triggered because he's reminding her of her insecurities, right? It felt good in the beginning, but the next day, 24 hours later, red flags are ready. Two different energies, completely different. And on top of that, he don't respect her money or her, period. I'm not spending $2, $3, $4 grand on your outfit and your gifts and then still having to spend $500 on dinner and then still gambling. Like, you're tripping right now. You bugging. And she didn't even tell him no. Why couldn't she say no? He wouldn't even take no for an answer. He saw how depressed and how sad she was, and he didn't even take no for an answer. He didn't even care how she felt. She could have been tired from the itis, eating all that food. She could have been depressed. She could have been whatever. It was a long trip from wherever she was to that hotel they went to, the restaurant they went to, right? So he didn't care about that at all. All he wanted to do was have fun and get lit. And he was like, well, if you ain't gonna do it, I'm gonna do it by myself. And she basically got up and went after him because she felt like he was gonna leave her behind. Now she has to babysit him and she resents that. Not even resents it. That triggers her because, again, it makes her feel more insecure. It makes her aware of the fact that she's still in prison and he's not. Okay? So on to the next couple, Justine and Michael. I actually like them as a couple. They're a really attractive couple. Michael is, he's an attractive guy, I guess. They got a bunch of kids, but I like their chemistry. They had an issue. There was a discrepancy with Justine and Michael's mother. And Michael's mother was like, you're not going to raise my grandchild the way you raise your daughter. And it seems like Michael's mother is very headstrong and she's controlling in a sense. And I think that she wants to control her son. And I think that Michael's sister also wants to control him too. They have to butt out. I get that they're his family, but he's a grown man. Okay, he can take care of himself, right? I think that Michael's mother coddled him maybe, or spoiled him. And so now she feels like, I mean, he's a mama's boy. I think he was a mama's boy, but his wife ain't gonna put up with that. I do like them together. They have good chemistry and great communication also. I do feel a bit bad for Justine's son, because in the first episode that I watched, I noticed that when he brought the pizza in, when Michael brought the pizza in, and they were going to eat on the couch, the little boy said, nope, no eating on the couch. Don't change the rules for him, right? And so he's very protective of his mother. And I noticed that he was like looking Michael up and down and like was grabbing on his mother every time she hugged Michael. So it was kind of cute, but at the same time, they got to work that out. She has to deal with that. That's not going to be right. But I do like Michael's energy and his vibe. He seems like he loves her, and like they're on the same type of time. I do understand her frustration with him wanting to see his homeboy from the streets, but I think it's an adjustment period from when these men or women are in jail. Like when people are in jail, you know where they are 24/7. So the dynamic is a lot more secure. I think that these women get triggered when their partners want to do things outside of the same pattern they're used to, and they have to get used to that. But I do like Justine and Michael's relationship. They seem to be evenly yoked. They got a bunch of kids. Both of them got their own kids. They both look good together physically. I love the fact that Michael's family was so welcoming to him. His father was emotional. It was great to see that dynamic. So it was great. Ashley and Travis. So Ashley is ridiculous. Like everything that comes out of her mouth is like a movie of script. She said something like, I'm going to prove to the world that her man is amazing. Travis, right? I'm going to prove to the world that he's amazing. How are you going to prove to the world that he's amazing? That's not your job. That's his responsibility. That's number one. Then she buys him all this stuff, jewelry and things like that. And she said that when they finally met and she picked him up from jail, she said, don't forget to open the door for me, or don't forget to open doors for me. Like she wants this chivalrous, romantic fairy tale relationship with a man who's been in jail for like grand larceny, robbery, like with a criminal. Like what's So watching her scenes made me very irritated, because it seemed like she wanted the idea of a relationship more than the actual relationship. Like the fantasy, the romance of it was more important than the actual reality of being together. For her to want to hire her boyfriend, who's a professional robber or who is a career criminal, who's been to jail for forging checks and grand theft larceny, and like she works in a jewelry store and she wants to hire her. Oh my God. This is why it's important to know astrology, because I wish I could see where Neptune is in these people's charts. Jupiter and Neptune are working together. This is delusional as hell. Delusional. So you're going to have I'm not saying that he's a bad guy because he's been in jail, right? I'm not saying that these men are bad because they're inherently bad and they're unfixable because they're in jail. I'm saying that, you have to be realistic about your expectations, okay? Why would you have a professional stealer, criminal, robber guy working in a jewelry store? Why would you do this? And it's crazy that these men are always talking about women being gold diggers and so on, but I'm seeing women take care of men on these shows. We're the gold diggers here, except for Gabby. But where are the gold diggers? What's happening? These men are getting they're laying up nice, getting clothes and shoes and jewelry and just a lot of nice things for doing absolutely nothing but laying pipe and having muscles. But you get taken care of. But women are gold diggers. No. So yeah, Ashley's always crying. Like I don't know if she's on drugs or alcohol. Like she seems hysterical over everything. So I don't know what's going to happen, but she seems to be very clingy and unrealistic. Like she wants this romantic fairy tale lifestyle, and her boyfriend does not. He ain't gonna do that. I think he's gonna play the part, for a couple months, like most con artists do, or even a year. But once he gets set up nice, he's gonna set her up for something, and then he'll be back in jail, and she'll be effed up in the game. Like, why would you jeopardize your career like this for some penis? This is crazy. Okay, the next couple is, who's this? Aris and Camron. Camron reminds me of the guy from That's So Raven. What's his name? Orlando Brown. His name is Orlando Brown. Okay. He reminds me of Orlando Brown. That's a clown. I don't know what's happening right now. He doesn't seem like a horrible person, but he seems to be a clown. Like, you can't take him seriously. I don't know what's happening right now. What do these women expect these men to do? To have a stable life with them? Like, these men are not mentally stable or financially stable. So how are you going to expect a man to show up in a relationship in a way that's not even his personality or his character? He seems like a fun person to be around, but I would not take him seriously as a romantic partner. This is insane right now. So he seems weird too. Just another rapper, weird, broke. She spent all this money from her 401k on him. It's just, these women are doing too much. Like, wow. Listen, would these women spend 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand on a corny guy with no swag, a nerd? Or are they infatuated by these men because they've been in prison? Like, I think Monique said that prison D is the best D. She sounds ridiculous, okay? And she sounds dysfunctional and toxic as hell. So I'm inclined to believe that a lot of these women like problematic men. Why are you spending all this money on men who have nothing to offer? You might as well find a guy on the street with no criminal record, going to school and take care of him. What's the difference? Oh, the difference is you want to control these men. This is why I said these relationships are also exploitative, because I think that these women are going after these men in prison because they want to control them too. It goes both ways. These men want to use the women and the women want to use the men. So I can't really feel sorry for somebody who's being stupid on purpose. This is pure stupidity. Taking money out of your 401k, you got a baby girl. What is this guy going to do for you? He's an up and coming rapper. Oh my God, I cannot deal with this. Like, this is why I started watching the show in the first place. The ignorance and stupidity is ridiculous to me. Grown women who are beautiful. Eris is beautiful, okay? And so is, what's her name? Justine. But Michael isn't that bad. He's not that bad. Ashley. She's beautiful too, but like, what are y'all doing? Gabby is ridiculous. But anyway, yeah. Monique, forget it. Monique has a pretty face, but she has to lose like 300 pounds. Okay, anyway. So, Skylar and Nathan. Skylar reminds me of the lady that was dating Deontay last season. She doesn't have any regard for anybody else's feelings or experiences. Nathan puts her on the pedestal because she came from a good background. And what a lot of women don't know is that some men, or many men, they respect you more if you come from a good background, a good family, right? A family with money or prestige or respect. Men are about clout and respect more than women are, and they don't admit it. They make it seem like women are about clout chasing and dating men for money and hypergamy. Men are too. So I think that Nathan puts Skylar on the pedestal because of where she came from, and he wants to live up to that, her expectations. Similar to Martell and Melody. Even though Melody wasn't more a lot of money, Melody represents high class for him, right? And so Melody made Martell want to be a better man, but Arion made Martell feel more comfortable with himself. So Martell wanted to be with Melody because of what she represented. She was a status symbol. I think that Nathan sees Skylar the same way, and he gets insecure. He's getting insecure about his ability to be the kind of man that would hold her attention, because he's from the other side of the tracks, I guess. And in white culture, that's a big thing. In black culture, it is too. But in white culture, it's a really big thing. And so I saw the way that Skylar's brother was looking at him, like, not haughty, but kind of looking down on him a little bit, like I will have, we'll see what it is. And I feel like Skylar is extra reckless and irresponsible because she has privilege. She has white privilege, she has pretty privilege, she has blonde privilege, and she has socioeconomic or social cultural privilege too. So she has a lot of things working in her favor, so she can be reckless and irresponsible with her life because she knows that she can always fall back on her pedigree. I'm not saying that her parents have lots of money, but from the way that Nathan was describing it, it's like she had, she came from a good upbringing. She had resources. She was able to afford expensive drugs. And so he wants to give her a lifestyle that she's accustomed to, right? He wants to be able to take care of her the way that he knows her parents can take care of her, or her mom can take care of her. And that's what is making him insecure. A lot of men consider that when they're dating women. How are you raised? Can I take care of you in a manner which you're used to, right? If you're used to having lots of money and living in a nice house and dating certain types of men, can I keep up with that? Most men consider that, if not all men. And so I feel like Nathan is a bit insecure about his station in life, where he came from. And I felt bad for him when he showed her the family home that he had. And it was old. It needed some work. It was a little raggedy. I don't know why they didn't fix it up. Like, this is why you have women. This is why women, are better hostesses and better housekeepers, because most women would not have their family members coming home, or their loved ones coming home to a dirty house. But he mentioned, and I felt bad for him when he said this, he mentioned that when you're in jail, everybody takes care of everything for you. So he's kind of struggling with trying to manage his life outside of prison. So I did have sympathy for him in that regard because he's not used to it yet. But she did embarrass him. I felt bad for him, the way she was like kind of talking down on, the house that he came from. And I could see the shame in his face, and I could see that he was like, he knew he would have to work hard to meet her expectations, and he wasn't sure if he could do that, being an ex-con, right, being a felon. And I remember they went to the restaurant together, and he spilled some coffee on his shirt, and he came back from the car looking at her like a serial killer. I don't know if he took a hit of drugs or something. I don't know what happened, but he left one way and came back and was staring at her like really weird, like he wanted to hurt her and hug her at the same time, like it was creepy how he was looking at her. And I think he took some drugs and he was trying to keep it together. That's what I think, because he changed his shirt in the car, like he wanted to look good for her. And he was nervous because she's like this high class pretty woman that he could never even think would look at him. And he kept saying that they ended up in the same place, in prison. So even though like she grew up in a better position than him, he feels like fate brought them together because they're from two different sides of the tracks, and they met together in the middle. But I think that Skylar is going to settle down with a man with money. Nathan's going to have to bust his ass to meet her expectations. She's used to having a lot. She's spoiled, and she's blonde, and she's attractive, and she comes from money. And he knows this. And so she knows it too. I think that she's going to play this poverty game for a little while, right? And then she may even get tired of him if he doesn't level up enough, doesn't make enough money. And she may level up. She may marry somebody who is from her station in life, right? Somebody with more money, a banker, a professor, an accountant, somebody with resources, a lawyer, something like that. And he could probably be a construction worker, but he'd probably have to have his own construction company to keep her interest. That's what I'm seeing in their situation. So I don't think they'll last for long once she gets tired of him. She even mentioned that they really didn't spend much time together since they've met. They've only had a couple of little trysts, 3 times maybe they were together, I guess. And they have great chemistry. It's just that I think at some point she's going to realize that she's slumming with him, or she's going to feel like it. And that's going to make him feel more insecure. And that situation could get volatile because he seems like somebody who wants to please her. But I don't know if he has any substance abuse issues, because a lot of men get triggered. Listen, when a man is in love with a woman who he thinks is better than him, when a man thinks that a woman he's in love with feels like she's better than him or too good for him, that will either make him stronger or break him psychologically, right? So there's 2 possibilities here. He could either be inspired by her or get crushed by the weight of the responsibilities meeting her standards. He can't even keep a house together. He can't even fold clothes and do laundry. Like, imagine him trying to get a job to take care of a woman who's used to having a lot of money. And she's very opinionated too. And she knows that she has privilege. She acts like it. She walks around like it, right? And so, yeah, I think that I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it is what it is. If he was with somebody who was dusty or who was poor, he would probably treat her like he can do better. Many men do that. But he put her on a pedestal because she's from a different socioeconomic class than he is. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.